With help of a historic tie-breaking vote from Vice President Mike Pence, Betsy DeVos was confirmed by the U.S. Senate as our nation's education secretary on Tuesday. Despite weeks of protests and 2 defections from within her own party, America, the future of America's public education system, looks oh so gloomy. Oh, so gloomy. Yes, indeed, America, it is true. Now, Betsy DeVos, I just have no words. Like, she literally, I said this on Fox this week. She is the most unqualified person in the world to be education secretary. Like, you're more qualified to be education secretary.
Yeah, I went to public school, so I'm already more qualified than her.
She has never been in a classroom. She's never taught a lesson. She's never run a school system. She's basically a billionaire housewife who was bored.
Right.
Who she's like, ooh.
She's like, oh, I'll pay $200 million and then I get to run the United States education.
Exactly, and know nothing. Like, not the she doesn't know the basics. She literally bought votes. Right. She gave Marco Rubio over $100,000 right before this vote. Well, coming a couple months, but before this vote. Like, every Republican who voted for her, they got at minimum
something in there
over $50,000 from her. And her record, people. What pisses me off about her nomination is what she did to the students of Detroit. Everything that's happening in Detroit is a result of Betsy DeVos. Because basically, Betsy DeVos and Amway, the company her family owns, have pumped so much money into Lansing, which is the Michigan state capital, and they've pushed and created all these crazy policies. Like, they said, oh, we're going to create these new schools, and we're going to get rid of all the rules, and not even charter schools, they're called EAA schools. And we're going to get rid of all the rules, no regulation, no transparency, no accountability, and the kids are going to succeed. And guess what happened?
They didn't.
They didn't. And the thing about education, which is why this pisses me off so much, like, don't get me wrong, I think Jeff Sessions being, attorney general is pretty scary. But at least, like, you can get another attorney general and you can roll back some of the crazy stuff that he does. And life will people will suffer for a little bit, but life will get better for them. But, like, think about, like, the 5-year-old who's starting kindergarten now.
Right.
Like, that started kindergarten or starting kindergarten this September, who for the next 3.5 years...
You don't get to do another kindergarten.
You don't get to do kindergarten over again. And Betsy DeVos, this idiot, is going to be running the Department of Education and pushing these crazy policies. So she is literally going to lead to she could potentially the demise of an entire generation of American learners.
Right.
And that's what makes this so scary. This lady doesn't even know the bare basics. Like, when they asked her what IDEA is, which is a law that was created to help those students who are disabled, who have challenges learning, she's like, I don't know what that is. And she's supposed to be protecting it. Yeah.
So here's a perfect example. How many years of schooling does a teacher need in order to teach 6th grade?
So I think roughly you need to go to college.
Yep.
And then you would probably become a student teacher for some time. Most of our teachers, a good chunk of our teachers, have master's degrees in public education or in learning or in curriculum or in instruction, right? You have to go to become a student teacher for some time. Then you have to apply, become certified and get past the praxis. And then some people go for their national board certification. It's a process.
Yeah, that's to teach 30 kids.
Yes.
She's got nothing. There's nothing here.
Yeah, all she has is
and she's got it all.
None of her kids have ever even set foot in a public school. Yeah. She's never set foot in a public school besides to visit.
Right.
Has never been in front of a classroom.
I mean, and listen, don't even get me started on the weird Christian side angle that she's got going on.
Because she believes in conversion therapy? Well, she says, I'll give her credit. She says she doesn't believe in it, but she's funded organizations, including Focus on the Family, that, like, this is their, like, main go-to. Like, we can pray the gay away.
Right. Well, not to mention the fact that one of her kind of secret plans that she's not really talking about, but she's been quoted previously saying that she feels very strongly that religious schools are very important.
And not just religious schools, because I think we have to be very clear. Christian religious schools. If you're Muslim religious schools, she wants no parts.
Not interested.
Not interested. No parts.
I mean, and that's when things get messy. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, separation of church and state. That's like a thing that we do here. It's kind of what we founded it all on. But, if you have $200 million, apparently you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way to say it. Like, if you're basically, she proves Donald Trump says he wants to drain the swamp. Betsy DeVos is the swamp. She's like the
new swamp.
She's like the swamp keeper because her family has spent almost $43 million. This one family in influencing elections.
Yeah.
So basically, she walks into a room. She says, "Hello, Senator Rich Webster. I want you to vote for this." And you're like, "Why should I vote for this?" And she goes, "Oh, here's $1 million. Here's a $100,000 check for your campaign committee."
Right.
And then they vote. Isn't that the definition of the swamp? Isn't that what he's talking about when he says the swamp?
Well, and it gets even more insidious than that because let's be very clear here. If that member of Congress does not accept that check, they can look into a situation where someone like her family is now funding someone to run against them with way more money than they could ever imagine.
Because we have thanks to Citizens United,
right?
We have no controls. There's no limits. It's just spend to high hell.
I mean, and this is just such a clear-cut case. I mean, and what's really scary, I mean, just buying a cabinet position with money is insane. And when you're in a situation where, like, I'm more optimistic right now about Ben Carson running housing and urban development than her.
But here's the problem. I mean, the thing that shocked me was that so many Republicans put blinders on their eyes. And right. Two Republicans defected, Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, said she is unqualified. Every Democrat voted against her. Like, don't you think there's a problem? I mean, I watched her entire hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
do you know anything?
She knows nothing. She wants to put guns back in. Let's just start there. I should just drop the mic on that one. She's okay. She wants to eliminate.
Her big plan for education is to just put guns in school.
No, she wants to eliminate gun-free zones.
Right.
And then she said, if we eliminate gun-free zones, then people can shoot the grizzly bears. Quote.
Doesn't even make sense.
And she's running ladies and gentlemen, she's running our kids' education. This is who Donald Trump has put in charge of your child's education.
Well, I mean, I think it's symbolic, unfortunately, because Mike Pence is the tiebreaker. But Donald Trump's nominations, for the most part, have gotten unanimous support from Republican senators.
Yes, most of them.
And this is she was the closest to not being pushed through. And if Republicans are defecting, you're like, oh my God, this has got to be bad.
Yeah, very bad. I mean, disabled parent, groups of, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Parents who have disabled children, who have advocacy groups, who usually don't do the Democrat-Republican thing.
Right.
They're like, no. Adoption groups are like, no. Civil rights groups are like, no. Teachers groups are like, no. Principals Association, no. State superintendents, no. Everybody said no. 2 Republicans say no. And Donald Trump will just send Mike Pence down to vote for. There's never a moment where you say, maybe we picked the wrong person. There's never one of those moments.
That's what's so bad about this. Pick someone who's qualified. Give me the craziest neocon you can throw at me, who's
qualified
worked in education. And I'm like, okay, fine, I get it. You won the presidency. It's your prerogative.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Why?
I don't like Jeff Sessions. I'm really sorry that he's the Attorney General. But at least Jeff Sessions is qualified.
Right. He has done the job that
he's been a prosecutor. He's been in the Senate. She's never taught in a classroom. She's never even sent her kids to public school. There's nothing that makes her qualified besides the fact that she's rich.
Which doesn't even count.
If she wasn't rich, she wouldn't be the ed secretary. Whereas if Arnie Duncan wasn't rich, he would probably still be the ed secretary because he's actually qualified.
Right. Yeah, so that's a pretty bad one. Sessions is also pretty bad. Anyway,
bad.